I really love the complexity of the March on Selma. We typically think about the March on Selma in 1965, March 7th of 1965, as Bloody Sunday, that moment when John Lewis and Hosea Williams were, right, and all of those people were literally trampled upon by Selma police and the Alabama state troopers and the like. But it's so much more complicated. Selma was actually three marches: March 7th, March 9th, and March 21st. And in some ways, what frames Selma is the murder of Jimmy Lee Jackson, a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, who was part of this organizing effort before SCLC and Dr. King came into Selma. But Selma was the preface to the fissure, the fragmentation of the civil rights movement. What would come out of it would be Lowndes County, Alabama, where they would use the Black Panther for a symbol of Black self-determination. What would come out of it would be the March for Freedom in Jackson, to finish the James Meredith March, where Stokely Carmichael will announce, I've been to jail this many times, I'm not going to jail anymore. What we're going to say from now on is Black Power. All of that was present in Selma.
We are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
There were three marches in 65. There's March 7th, March 9th, and March 21st. Richard Hatcher, who's the mayor who got elected mayor of Gary, Indiana in 1968, is convening, and you ought to hear Ben Chavis talk about the importance of Gary. And out of Gary comes this explosion of campaigns, this explosion of what we call BEOs, Black elected officials, but it was complex.
I am not beautiful, proud, I must be respected.
And Jesse Jackson comes in with this big afro and this medallion, and he says, what time is it? It's nation time. What time is it?
What time is it? When we respect each other, what time is it?
It's nation time. But at the same time that all of this was going on, guess who was running for president of the United States? Shirley Chisholm.
I am the candidate of the people of America.
Strategy that would come out of something like Gary would be, we need to run a Black person for national office. That person would then inspire young Black voters down ballot and would lead to massive turnout. And although the person might not be able to win at the national level, we would then have this impact down ballot. That's the strategy we saw in 1984 with the Reverend Jesse Jackson's campaign. And what did we see? Carol Moseley Braun, David Dinkins. We can go Governor Wilder. We can go down. That strategy was evidenced in 1972, but not when it came to the sister Shirley Chisholm. Not when it came to her. The world conspires to make you small. The question is whether you're going to be complicit. That's the first thing. Then if you're not going to be complicit, then you need to listen to John Coltrane and take giant steps. So there's practice, there's dedication to the craft. There's learning what you need to learn, shoring up your foundations. Cornell told me something when I was a graduate student that I'll never forget. He says, Brother Eddie, if you don't do the work to prepare yourself in the beginning, you will spend a lifetime, you will spend a career trying to hide the gaps.
You have to try to ascend up the stairs to be a higher self.
So what did I begin with? I began with Bowdoin. It's the woodshed. I'm out there honing my craft. I'm not worried about who's looking at me. I'm trying to become the best intellectual I can be, developing my bibliography so I can then draw on a wide range of literatures to bring them to bear on the subject that I'm talking about. And then finally, when my moment comes, I'm actually ready. Thinking about Jimmy Baldwin, fame hit Baldwin early, and he had to grapple with it.
You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
So what I say to young people, do your work, do your homework, engage in the ongoing work of preparation so that when you're called, when your time comes, you're ready. And then you can have a sustained presence as opposed to a blip. We walk around these spaces as if somebody has engaged in a charitable gesture by letting you in here. The only favor they can do for you is to get you through here. Oh, I'm a country boy from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. My mother had her first baby in the 9th grade. My daddy delivered mail and was the second African American hired at the post office. But as soon as we heard the garage door open, and remember, he worked for the post office, so that's hot cotton back in the day. Everybody went to their corners because we had to leave him alone. We didn't know what kind of mood he was in. But the rage was really expressed in his views of race, Carlos. He didn't suffer white people. I got a language to understand him when the first time I read Malcolm X's autobiography.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
So I was 16 years old at Morehouse. I'm reading Malcolm's autobiography and I go, damn, this is what was going on with Dad. Wow, I get it. It took him a while before we reconciled, but I got an understanding of why he was so angry. He was putting something in me so that I could do what I do right now.
We are right back where we've always been, where we have to make a decision whether or not we're going to be a racist nation.
Politics didn't come to me through my parents or my environment. I just kind of gravitated to it. I was involved in local campaigns in my town, in my hometown. I was involved with the YMCA youth legislatures. You know, the YMCA would invite students from all over the state to take over government. And I was elected the first Black youth governor of the state of Mississippi. I actually went as a special guest of the Democratic Party of Mississippi to the Democratic National Convention.
More families in trouble, more and more people who need help but can't find it.
Now I had a sense of calling on my life, I think, that I wanted to speak to the conditions of everyday ordinary people. So when I left home, I ran away from home to go to college. So I went to Morehouse. And when I got to Morehouse, I became the vice president of the Young Democrats in the state of Georgia. And I started thinking about the reality of Black life in this country. I acquired a vocabulary to account for my father's rage, to understand why my town looked the way it looked. My world just expanded. And suddenly my conception of politics went beyond, formal politics. One piece I wrote, Carlos, that really struck the Black church is dead. I wrote an essay entitled The Black Church is Dead for the religion page of the Huffington Post. It got pulled into the New York Times. Suddenly I get an agent who says, I think you can write a book for a broader audience. Boom.
Right. So in the book, I talk about the Great Black Depression. I talk about, the fact that over 38%, 40% of Black children are growing up in poverty. I talk about the downward mobility as African Americans experience the loss of incomes, the inability to dream big dreams for their children because they can't make ends meet.